Hey guys, it's Matthew Zane here. So today I'd like to talk about E3 predictions for all three companies, primarily Nintendo and Microsoft. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So Nintendo, I believe two main things I'd like to think is that they're going to talk about Switch Pro and Switch Mini. Both will be slightly more powerful than the normal Switch. I think the Switch Mini will be slightly more powerful, because they're going to use the X2 chip in my opinion, because it's a smaller chip that will require less battery and require less, resources draining basically, because it's a smaller nanometer chip. The Switch Pro on the other hand, I think will be a bit more powerful. It'll have a bit more RAM, it'll have a bit more storage, it will have a larger screen, and I think it'll be clocked a lot higher, a lot higher. I predict around 1 GHz GPU and 2 GHz CPU for the docked play, and I think there'll be a few more compute cores inside the new Switch basically. A few more compute cores or compute units or CUDA cores, whatever they call it really, and I think that'll help with the heavy lifting as well. Of course that means a bigger chip slightly. I think they'll increase, if the chip has shrunk about, let's say this is 60 nanometers now, they've shrunk a certain percentage, let's say you increase it by a little more, but not as much as it shrunk, then that means you can get more power out of it sort of thing. And I believe RAM has come a long way. You can get better bandwidth RAM, less power hungry RAM as well, so I predict 6 gigs of faster, more bandwidth RAM as well. All the Joy-Cons will be compatible with Switch Pro, however Switch Mini I think you can link up with them but not hook them onto your system. Otherwise it'll look really weird and end up looking like an N64 controller to an extent with handles at the bottom. I don't think that would be too bad actually. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see really. But I think you could probably link the Joy-Cons on, but I don't. Maybe we'll see, isn't it? We'll see. But overall, I believe the two Switches will be talked about at least at E3. Specifications will be leaked by Digital Foundry because Nintendo do not like to talk about specs at all. For games, I believe Bayonetta 3 will have a little teaser, Metroid Prime 4 as well. I think a Prime Trilogy will be announced either at the Treehouse or inside the show. But I wish it's a remake. I don't think it's a remake in terms of remaking assets and stuff. I think, and rendering pipelines and stuff like that. I think it's just HD gate on the system. That's it. That's my opinion. But I really do wish they look at the assets and try to polish things up a little, like add the new rendering stuff, add ambient occlusion, add new lighting solutions and stuff to make it more moody and atmospheric sort of thing, add global illumination, add stuff like that really, that will just add to the experience. Don't completely change the experience, just add to it, is my opinion. So now that's Nintendo out of the way, let's briefly talk about Sony. So Sony, wait, I'm trying to remember if I forgot anything. Oh yeah, I forgot a few things. So Mario Maker 2, Fire Emblem, and what's the other one? Animal Crossing, Astral Chain will all be confirmed basically, in my opinion. I think they gotta be. And I think we might hear stuff about Game Freak's new IP, Town. I think that'd be a really cool game. I think, to be honest, Sword and Shield looks really cool, but it looks a bit rough around the edges visually, like the texture mapping and stuff. The way they do textures and stuff is a bit weird right now, but I think they can fix that, make it look a bit more diffuse and stuff. So, and clean up the image a little, because it looks a little rough in Sword and Shield, Pokemon Sword and Shield. But yeah, overall it's good. I feel as though before I move on to Sony now, I'll talk about the Detective Pikachu movie. So overall, I really liked it as a Pokemon fan. The soundtrack was cool, the world looked really cool, the visuals were amazing, and the story was fairly good. There's a few ways it can improve. If you want me to do another video on that, please comment down below. I will do a video right away after the comment, basically. Because I finished uni and I've got no time I've all the time in the world on my hands. So, yeah. So now moving on to Sony. They don't have an E3, thank goodness. But it also means bad news in the sense that they're going to pepper leaks throughout E3. And they're going to basically entice the E3 audience to what is Sony doing? What are they doing? I heard this PS3 had 8K and GTA 6 exclusive. All false. I don't care what anyone says. Oh, Mike Cerny said it's gonna have 8K. 8K via HDMI 2.1, which only means HDMI 2.1 can only output 8K. I do not believe, if for 1 second, that any GPU in the world can do 8K ray traced at a higher fidelity than what we currently have in video games. I refuse to believe it. I do not. I can't believe it. It's not possible by any graphics card manufacturer, especially AMD for that matter. Because AMD just copy NVIDIA cards basically. They're like, basically, like, it's like what they did at the beginning of when they were AMD, the CPU guys who copied Intel and just overclocked the chips. The AMD are basically that right now. I mean, they do have their own, I think, right, I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for that, but basically I believe AMD do have a few things that they're good at, like Bitcoin mining and stuff, but with that said, I think NVIDIA are a bit further ahead in terms of the ray tracing game because they worked in Microsoft, and if you ask me, I'll be very shocked if Microsoft go with AMD again this generation. So now we're moving on to Microsoft, so I'm talking about the next console. I'll be very, very shocked if they go for AMD again, because they made a whole API just for ray tracing. They made it with NVIDIA and NVIDIA cards. So it'd be very strange if they made the damn software coding libraries and APIs for something that isn't going to be featured on their flagship console. It just doesn't make sense to me, you know? So what I think is that they're going to go over NVIDIA card with some actual ray tracing hardware inside it. And that will basically just make Sony in complete shock because they're probably aiming for software ray tracing. Let's be brutally honest about it. Right, they're going to have no real actual ray tracing hardware, even though it is very expensive. I think NVIDIA and Microsoft's partnership, funny thing that, because Nintendo have a partnership with them, but because Microsoft are a big company, they can get those parts, what Sony get, for cheaper. They can sell the console for cheaper because they're Microsoft. You know what I mean? They've done computing stuff for decades. Sony's been in it for about 2 decades now. That's it, right? And they haven't even had one card from NVIDIA ever, and that one was a last minute decision because their cell processor couldn't even work. So in terms of games from Microsoft, I believe that they're going to talk about their new studios. So the Initiative, Ninja Theory, and the others. I forgot the others, but yeah, they're going to talk about that. They can talk about Gears of War 5. They're going to talk about Halo Infinite. They're going to talk about a lot of exclusives. Believe me, they're going to talk about a lot of them. But people are going to be like, are they really exclusive on PC? Well, I'm like, it's not on Sony, so there you go. It's not on Nintendo. So you look at if you're only looking at console space, it isn't exclusive. It's exclusive to Microsoft platforms, right? And people get that confused. Like people say, oh, it's just ruined their brand image. I used to think that, but that's just journalist spin, in my opinion. That it's just you know, like, yeah, you feel like why do I buy an Xbox and stuff, but some people can't afford a gaming PC, so you have the Xbox, and if you can't afford an Xbox, they got Cloud X now. So that's so, like, you got to praise Microsoft for the amount of options you have to play their games, and especially that is clearly shown the accessibility controller, the 2 giant disc things, right? And I don't see how people just keep making fun of Microsoft in the industry. To be honest, it's just not right, in my opinion. Like, to be honest, it's really weird because the 2 companies that are actually trying to make a difference in gaming are the ones being made fun of, Nintendo and Microsoft. Whereas Sony, they're praised for the best things ever, you know, like praised out of the, like they're king or something, you know. Like, yeah, they sold the most consoles, but what did they do with them at the top? What did they change? What did they achieve other than something for themselves? Right? And in the end, it's a business, yes, they could achieve something for themselves, but you've got to look at the bigger picture. What have they changed for gaming? That's how I see it. Like, we're still getting the same games. Like, if we continue with Sony's strategy, we're still going to get the same games. We're still going to have a very restrictive design process for everything. It's just not going to help us. As designers, as game creators, as consumers, we're all going to lose out eventually. Right? Because it's just going to become an arms race. You know what I mean? It's just not going to work. Okay, it's simple. But I feel as I've ragged on Sony enough. I said my predictions now. I think Halo, to wrap up on my verdict, I think Halo Infinite will be absolutely insane. I think it'll be one of the best heroes. I could be completely wrong, and it's going to be memed the hell out of. I don't care. Meme me. But, with that being said, this is Maestro Zane, and I'm coming off.